So a new discovery.
Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Climate crisis.
Penguins. The Jerusalem Post has an article titled "Bacteria with Antibiotic-Resistant Genes Discovered in Antarctica, Scientists Say." More Antarctica stories. And again, my little Google alerts, I see Antarctica stories every single day now, and I'm seeing a lot more outlets mirroring or resharing the stories that are out there. So keeping an eye on it. The Jerusalem Post here. Bacteria with antibiotic-resistant genes discovered in Antarctica. Scientists say bacteria in Antarctica have been discovered with genes that give them natural antibiotic and antimicrobial resistance and have the potential to spread out of the polar regions, according to scientists in Chile. Andres Marcoleta, a researcher from the University of Chile who headed the study, published in the Science of the Total Environment journal. I don't know why that made me laugh. Science of the Total Environment. Not just an environment or a environment, the total environment. Journal in March said that these quote-unquote superpowers, which evolved to resist extreme conditions, are contained in mobile DNA fragments that can easily be transferred to other bacteria. Impact of climate change. We, quote, "We know the soils of the Antarctic Peninsula, one of the polar areas most impacted by melting ice, host a great diversity of bacteria," Marcoleta said, quote, "and that some of them constitute a potential source of ancestral genes that confer resistance to antibiotics," end quote. Scientists from the University of Chile collected several samples from the Antarctic Peninsula from 2017 to 2019. Quote, "It's worth asking whether climate change could have an impact on the occurrence of infectious diseases," Marcoleta said. I feel bad for some of these people. They have to toe the line to get funding. They just bend whatever to, I wonder if climate change. And maybe that's our tactic that we should approach things with, Basil. Just say that we're trying to solve climate change with anything.
That's what I've been saying. That's what I tell people all the time.
You guys need to listen to this podcast.
They're trying to solve climate change.
They are coming up with the best recommendations of how to solve climate change.
We're doing our part.
The best climate change solutions podcast in the world.
Best practices. Yeah.
All right. Possible sources of resistance genes. Researchers found that the Pseudomonas bacteria, one of the predominant bacteria groups in the Antarctic Peninsula, are not pathogenic, but can be a source of resistance genes, which are not stopped by common disinfectants such as copper, chlorine, or quaternary ammonium. However, the other kind of bacteria they researched, Pyloramos bacteria, does have the, quote, potential to inactivate beta-lactam type antibiotics, which are essential for the treatment of different infections, says Marcoleta. End of article. So there you go. There's some more genetic anomalies being discovered.
So what do these little guys do?
They're resistant to antibiotics.
Oh, so it's perfect to use them as some sort of pathogenic agent to deliver some horrible disease or genetic genetic modification.
That's the implication. That you're not going to be able to stop whatever can mutate with this. No copper, chlorine, or I keep saying it wrong. Wrong. Quaternary ammonium. Do you know what that is?
Well, no, but it sounds nasty. Yeah. It sounds like it would kill a bacteria normally.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's very nice. Considering we followed the story of how some, I believe it was Hungarian scientists found coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 in a sample of Antarctican soil.
Right.
So, yeah, that's cool, man. You just mix them all.
Just mix it all together.
Or maybe they're already mixing.
I'm not unconvinced about the Petri dish thesis of what is allegedly Antarctica. So thematically today, there's been a lot of algorithm talk. Seems to rule all the things that are happening. And in that regard, I wanted to wrap up the show with just running through some headlines about Antarctica. The theme with CRISPR and genetic engineering, and then we land with another genetic story from Antarctica. It just seems to be that the world is headed in this crazy sci-fi type of thing that General Milley outlined at the top of the show. And, it's just, I don't know. It just feels like I've mentioned before. We don't force themes on these episodes. We let sort of the stories that come across our desk, and we choose to piece together. A theme emerges naturally, or maybe just in the way we analyze what's out there. And artificial intelligence, genetic manipulation, CRISPR, basically going mainstream with a lot of this stuff here with the Frankenfood and all that. And Antarctica being a major part of all those aspects. Here's some headlines. EOS.org. It's a science news by AGU. The headline here is Machine Learning Pinpoints Meteorite-Rich Areas in Antarctica. We covered this. Do you remember we covered it a couple months ago?
Yep.
And the subheadline here, a new algorithm suggests that a small fraction of meteorites present on the white continent's surface have been recovered to date. And yeah, it was the whole idea that machine learning and AI was able to say, like, hey, there's a lot of space rock underneath that have not been discovered yet, which goes to all sorts of eschatological narratives. Here's another one from CNN. And, we covered this when it first came out. For some reason, it was being shared around mainstream outlets in the last few weeks. Again, I think we covered this several months ago. But CNN headline, a robot lives in this Antarctic penguin colony. It's trying to save them. And this is labeled April 29th, but I think we got on this story, must have been January. It might have even been last year.
Yeah.
Do you remember this story? The Echo, the 3-foot tall robot that spies on penguins. I mean, it was one of the first Penguin Antarctica AI, whatever stories that we had. So, but again, this whole thing is operated by algorithms. The researchers, one sentence from this article, the researchers are working on Echo's algorithms to ensure that when the robot drives itself, it can figure out how to get unstuck. Some more algos.
Need an algo. Need an algo for that.
And then this article is one that I think I had planned for one of the more recent Canary Cry NewsTalk episodes, but we just didn't do it. CNET headline: the alien invasion of Antarctica is only just beginning.
Woo!
This one's fun because the alien they talk about is not what you think. Just give it away. They're talking about COVID. COVID is the alien. Or other things, but mainly COVID.
Ooh.
Yeah, no fun. There's a line in here that I have highlighted. Oh, it was a long article. Aliens. One of the world's most formidable aliens, SARS-CoV-2, breached Antarctica in March 2020, which is weird because weren't we getting headlines and news articles talking about how COVID is spread to every continent except Antarctica? Wasn't that like one of the things early on?
Right, yeah.
But March 2020, it breached Antarctica, apparently. And then there was one more thing. Oh, down here. Quote, our research stations aren't designed for pandemics or infectious disease control, says Dane Brooks, an expedition medical officer with the Australian Antarctic Division spending the winter at Macquarie Island. Quote, if a COVID case got into a station, it would spread rapidly. For that reason, those traveling south face extreme restrictions before boarding a vessel or plane down south with Australia's Antarctic Division. All expeditioners must be vaccinated and undergo a 14-day quarantine period. Okay, they're still doing that. There's a section called The Abyss. And it talks about just how the water's warming and blah, blah, blah. Where is that line? Here we go. Even so, scientists are trying to understand which species are primed to invade, like other species primed to invade. A group of Australian scientists using a machine learning algorithm were able to identify 4 marine species that can threaten the Antarctic marine ecosystem today, and an additional 5 under future climate change scenarios. One species, the northern Pacific sea star, is a particularly problematic invader. The starfish, which is native to the northern hemisphere, has invaded Tasmanian waterways, likely after being transported by a shipping vessel. I think talking about a starfish is misdirection. We just learned earlier in this episode that China has some AI working in the oceans. And they called it, what did they call it? The first carrier drone, a marine species. China has AI marine species out there. And then this article calls for 4 marine species that can threaten the Antarctic marine ecosystem. I don't know, Basil. I'm just connecting dots, man. It's all coming together in my head.
It's all coming together.
I mean, why would you call the Chinese war drone a marine species?
I like it. I like the Gonzo special, man.
And then finding another article that talks about, and by the way, what are these 4, the 4 horsemen of the Antarctic apocalypse? At the very end here, last paragraph to read here. Surveillance and monitoring for any new arrivals remain paramount to keeping aliens out. Oh, where's my bell? There's my bell. That's what they want. Ultimately, I've noticed the theme with the shootings and everything. The big solution to everything is we must surveil everything. Everything must be watched. If the aliens arrive, they'll need to be eradicated. Such a task could be exorbitantly expensive and difficult and might even disturb the local ecosystem more. End of article. So there you go. The aliens are here, Basil. They've invaded Antarctica, and it's only just the beginning. Any thoughts? Any reaction?
You've done it. You've finally cracked the code. You've finally figured it all out. It's all been leading up to this.
Russia's already down there mining, right? They're looking for oil, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So now China's going to go down there, and China's going to disrupt the ecosystem with their marine species that uses AI, according to South China Morning Post.
Oh, no.
It's all coming together. Their 88-meter vessel that can take care of targets.
We got to get down there and do a podcast before it turns into a robo wasteland.
I know. Well, I was going to say, if you look at the actual I don't know if you took a good look at that China story from earlier today, Basil. But the ship, it's got an interesting aerodynamic or maybe hydrodynamic shape to it. I don't know if you can see it. I have it on screen here, but it is like a normal sort of boat thing, but it's got like, I don't know, it's got like a sleeker look. Are you able to see?
Waiting. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it looks like a speedboat.
Yeah,
it looks like some expensive, somebody's lake boat, but it's way bigger.
Yeah. So anyway, that's your maritime species or marine species. Chinese marine species AI.
Kind of looks like a whale. Maybe they're trying to make up for all the whales that they're killing.
Oh, there you go. Once again,
it's all coming together.